Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Here I have a great article for you guys from Inside Towers. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So one thing I want to point out, since T-Mobile has already worked through a lot of their tower sites with the 5G modernization, that means they've already gone back to the sites, or most of their sites. They added more modernized RRUs. They got new panels up on the site. 2.5 is now deployed, close to 300 million pops. So a large part of that build out is behind T-Mobile. Now it's more about new site builds, growing its coverage, which that's just going to be a more slower, tedious process. Just in a lot of areas where they're deploying or where they're having to build out new coverage, it's a lot more spread out, a lot more rural. So that's going to take a lot more time to be seen and to be noticed. So Crown Castle recently released their quarterly report that they're seeing big growth in small cells. And I think that's what T-Mobile is going to pivot towards next in a more bigger way, because they're mostly done with their macro build out or with their macro upgrades. So I'll just read this off here briefly. Small cells represented just 8% of Crown Castle's consolidated second quarter revenue of $1.3 billion. Still, the company sees upside demand for small cells over the next several years. Jay Brown, Crown Castle president and CEO, in the comments at this week's Goldman Sachs conference, acknowledged that the mobile network operators' initial 5G build-out touched about 50% of Crown Castle towers, mainly in metro and suburban. So that's interesting, right? If you look at Verizon, they've already been building small cells, but they don't really use Crown Castle that much. T-Mobile has more of a bigger partnership with Crown Castle in terms of small cells. Crown Castle built out a lot of the strand mounts for T-Mobile, from what I've seen, and then of course they leased the fiber back to the small cell for the front haul. So they leased that anyway. So they have to get with the third party to deploy that. A lot of the times Crown Castle does deploy their own lit fiber, so they might be able to work that out. But I think the next phase for T-Mobile starting next year, 2025, is going to be the 50,000 small cells that they plan to deploy. So you're going to start seeing that more in the urban levels like New York City, LA, where they just have weaker coverage, where the macro doesn't quite get to. They're going to start deploying these small cells. Same for the other markets where they have higher share, like El Paso, maybe markets that have higher fixed wireless access usage. They're going to start deploying these small cells. They're going to come with the N41, or they should come with the N41. I've seen some in Florida that are being deployed literally with the 6449, which is very interesting that's happening. That's more like a full-fledged macro deployment, really, if you really think about it. It's still called a small cell, but they literally have to deploy a regular baseband unit once they deploy the massive MIMO, from what I'm told. And that's a bit interesting, right? Verizon doesn't do that. They build the C-RAN, but they don't put a full massive MIMO panel onto the site to where they have to deploy a full baseband unit. It looks kind of hideous, looks kind of ugly. Verizon's unit much smaller, if you've seen those. Much more aesthetically pleasing. T-Mobile, they put like 2 full baseband units on the sidewalk, so doesn't look too good. But T-Mobile's deploying it like that. We'll see what happens, but I think the next big pivot for T-Mobile is going to be small cells, and that's where Crown Castle is going to see that big growth. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.